everyone, this is one of those videos which I would call a point of view. Now, the reason why I thought I wanted to do it was because I had an experience just recently, and therefore I'm asking the challenging question, do you think we're getting more angry and grumpy, or is it just my feeling? So let me give you a bit of a story. I was basically driving over to a nearby town, one that I go to sort of fairly regularly, and as I was coming over one of the last roundabouts, there was a van that was on the other side of the roundabout, basically in the way. It had caused us all to stop. And as we were all backing up, some making the mistake perhaps of being on the roundabout, others like me had already crossed over it but still couldn't go any further, I started to do the usual thing where you stick your head round on the left or on the right trying to work out what was going on. And as I could see more than other people behind me, I realised what it was. We'd had some really big winds, and there was a very large branch that was at risk of not only overhanging the road, but probably potentially about to fall on it. Not at any point, but certainly it was looking a bit tricky. And lots of its bits had fallen on the floor, to the point where some of the branches were large enough that the van didn't particularly want to just go and drive straight over them. But the weird thing from my point of view was that he wasn't getting out either. So I pulled up next to him on the right-hand side where there was a large enough gap because the traffic couldn't sort of, get in my way. And I got out of the car and I stood there looking at the state of the road, looked up at the branch and thought, right, for the few minutes it takes me to clear that out, we can all move forward and then he can make up his mind about what he wants to do. Now, with hindsight, the mistake was probably that I didn't speak to him. But neither did he speak to me. And I therefore started to go straight at the branches, kicking them out of the way, picking up random bits. It probably took me 2 or 3 minutes. There was a very nice guy who was 2 or 3 cars behind me who also got out of his car and he came to help. And then as soon as we'd done the bulk of them and there were only the small bits left, we both headed back towards our cars. As I was nearing mine, the guy who'd been in the van actually spoke to me, but was incredibly rude, basically shouting out to me, "Take your time, love, because I can't move anywhere until you do." And I just kind of stood there for a few seconds thinking, what? I've just helped everybody, potentially at risk of getting a very big branch landing on me. The least you could have done was get out of your van or come and help. And instead of that, in frustration and confusion, I kind of blurted, "What is your problem?" And that was pretty much all I could think of. And then I realised the best thing for me to do was just to move the car. But I was quite shaken. And as I was driving away, and I don't really know what he did, he could have turned around, perhaps it was more convenient to do so, or he could have followed me. I quietly thought to myself as I was driving away, crikey, what was that about? Are people just getting really angry or more grumpy these days? And I guess my first observation would be this. If you can't influence the macro in life, for example, market forces, what's happening over in another country, aka the US and so forth, and your business or your life is in turmoil, do you concentrate more on the micro and therefore the small stuff gets to you? And you get irritated and frustrated with that? Because I definitely find people are fighting poor customer service and they're fighting on the underground and they're making statements which is angrily referred to when someone gets in their way. And it's tough. It's tough to watch and it's certainly tough to be on the receiving end. So just one small request. There is no substitute for good communication. Whilst I think I probably could have been more considerate, perhaps I was getting in his way, he too could have been the same with me. And my observation is this: don't make assumptions. It's so easy to assume that something that's happening is actually inconveniencing you when it may have nothing to do with you. It's also very easy to take something personally, and I think whilst I'm not now talking about the guy and the branch situation, talking in a wider sense, I think the main point I'm making is it's much easier, instead of making a statement, swap it round into a question and start it with something softer, like, have you thought? Could I ask? Can I suggest? Maybe this could be a suggestion. These are just softer ways of expressing something that are better received. And making some kind of aggressive, grumpy statement to somebody where you've basically decided all by yourself that whatever they're doing isn't right for you, it's just not okay. And it just starts the whole day off really badly, as it did for me. So I'd love to know what you think. Let me know. It'd be good to hear. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.